Hi, it's Dr. Games, and I'm here today with a video to talk about how do you change the color, and only the color, of the subtitles in a Blu-ray. And it's all, I'm going to talk about two methods, and they both start with HD extract. So what you do is you put the particular file, the M2 TS file, in there. You find a place to extract it, as is shown here. Now, I'm showing here that we're extracting a lot of things. The truth of the matter is that the only thing, well, I guess that's not true. You are going to want to extract all these things because eventually you're going to have to use TSMuxer to re-mux everything. So I take it back. But the only thing that we're really going to be modifying, the only file that we're going to be playing with, is the sup file. And you can see here that we push it, and it's relatively quick. I put that to a little bit of a higher setting so it gets the full attention of my computer, but it's relatively quick. All right, so you can see that that's done already. Now we're going to go to BD Sup to Sub, which is another free program. And what we're going to do here is we're going to extract all of the subtitles as PNG pictures, all tied together with an XML file. So the two methods we're going to use, one is we're going to extract all of the sub-pictures out as pictures, and then we're going to change the color of them. We're going to re-put them together, and then we're going to re-mux them with TSMuxer. Okay, so you see here now that it's read that sub-file in, and you don't change anything. You just change it to go to XML, PNG, and you can see what it looks like. There's no resizing. There's no frame rate change. There's none of that stuff. None of that stuff. And then we go up here for this method, and you just extract. And look at what's going to happen in the background as I extract. Set up to go to the same location. This is so quick you don't actually have to go to another drive. So all that's going on in the background. Computer's eventually catching up. So many subtitles, all individual PNG form. And then just to take a look at a couple of them so you can see what they look like. So that white background is actually transparent. Obviously, there's no way to show that in a vanilla variety previewer. And that black is, in fact, black, the outline. The white in the middle of it is not white. It's kind of a grayish color, but I'm going to get to that in a second. Whereas pure white would be 255, 255, 255. This is actually 205, 205, 205. So that's going to be important later when we tell the computer how we're going to want to modify that particular color. Now I'm going to show you the second version, and we're going to use Subtitle Edit, which I've used many times before. We're going to bring in that same sup file, which is right there. Well, actually, we're going to make sure we get the right sup file. Yeah, it's always good to bring in the right set of subtitles. Otherwise, you get some very strange interactions. That would be kind of a funny topic, actually. So now I'm not going to go through and check all the errors myself. I'm going to have it all done automatically, and I'm going to have that running in the background. So there we go. We got this going on. It's going through, and this is now going to come out in a text-based format, which is SRT format. Let me explain the second methodology. So first methodology is clear. We've got the pictures. We're going to change the colors of them using some kind of an automated process, and then we're going to remux them together. We're going to put them back together, as you all know how to do from watching the other Blu-ray edit videos. In this particular case, we're going to extract the text-based version of it, and then I'm just going to use one of many programs to do the subtitles myself. All right, now, remember I said before that what appears to be white in the middle is actually not white. So when I click on that, you'll notice that it's a gray color. Look off to the left. You see that little box over there? It's kind of a gray color. So now I'm going to record what I find in terms of red, green, and blue. But actually, I'm going to go to the hex value. And we find out it's 205, 205, 205. And that actually is going to correspond to a different hex value. And I'm going to show you that in a second. Here you see the hex value displayed for that particular color. Now, one of the things we're going to do as we're setting up, remember I talked about the SRT, we're going to try to create our own subtitles. So it's important that we do the right frames per second and the right size. This is just the window viewer. So what I'm doing now is I am going to modify the internal program so that its properties match exactly the characteristics of the movie that I took things from. So we're going to have to want to do as little conversion as possible. So again, I'm looking at it. It's 1920 by 1080. It's of a certain length, which I'm going to change the length to that, which is 47 minutes and 32 seconds. I'm also going to make sure that the frames per second match, very, very important, so that my subtitles will match up exactly. Okay, so now I've done all that and I've imported my subtitles into the system. And when I brought them in, I decided to make them the yellow color that I was asked to make them. And then I can just go ahead and create a disc. In this particular case, I'll create a Blu-ray disc. And guess what? I'm going to go through the process of extracting those subtitles out of the created M2 TS file. I will re-mux them in with TSMuxer, and that's that. There's another way to do this as well, and I'm going to show you that in a second here. All right, so now our SRT extraction is done. It's ready for us to save it. All right, and now we're going to go ahead and what we're going to do, we've got our same project in before. We're just going to keep a black background in this particular case. We don't need to do anything else. Because this will speed up greatly the actual video encoding of it all when the time comes. Okay, now I go to make my Blu-ray. I'm going to click on that. It's going to take just a minute because it's got to think its way through. There's a lot of stuff that goes into making a Blu-ray. And I don't begrudge my system anything. Again, it's just a pure black background in this case. Every system's a little bit different for how you add in subtitles. In this particular case, this is one of the simpler programs to use that actually allows you to use subtitles. You just click on Edit Subtitles. You tell it you want to bring in the text version of it. So I thought maybe I could get away with going to recent places, but I'm not sure how it decides when it's a recent place or not. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So there's our SRT file. We'll bring those in, and now look what I get to do. I get to change the color of the subtitles to the yellow color so desired by my viewers. So there you go. And you just change them to yellow. We click on OK, and then what do? We're going to go ahead and go to next. And these next steps, we just go through. I decided not to do a menu just because that would just be more complexity. I go in and I'm going to change the settings and I'm going to produce a Blu-ray. So bottom line with that is then I'm going to produce a Blu-ray. I'm going to demux. I'm going to pull the sub file out of that. I'll remux it with the original one, and now I have yellow subtitles. Okay, now remember before I told you at the beginning that we were going to want to use the hex values for these rather than the RGB values. So I'm going back in and I'm looking at what that background is for those letters, and I'm going to record that. Originally, I recorded that it was 205, 205, 205, but it's easier to use if I record the hex value. And so now I'm going to go pick out a yellow color. And what I found out is because this was an optimized PNG file, it didn't actually have that. So I had to create a different document. It doesn't matter what the document is. It just couldn't be a PNG optimized 16 color code thing. So I went in, and you may run into this too. I don't want you to think I'm perfect by any stretch of imagination. So then I'm recording this new color, this yellow color, and then I get to decide to be really clever and actually copy it. And I put that down. So we're going to use that in a smidge to transfer it to the new color. Hi, I'm back, and I'm going to show you the final piece in converting all of those pictures from one color to another. Remember that we've discovered that the old color, that gray, is CD, CD, CD in hex form, and the new color, the beautiful bright banana yellow color, is quadruple F78 in hexadecimal form. And it took a while, to be perfectly honest, so it's probably, I was thinking to myself that this was actually pretty straightforward. Now, I think the one method where you turn it into a text and then you change the color and you do a new Blu-ray, and that's what's here, by the by, that's what's shown here, is that Blu-ray with the yellow subtitles in the background where you could just demux it and remux it in with these existing files that were demuxed using HD demux. But probably the easier and more certain way is just changing the colors of the subtitles. And that ended up being more complicated. So we're gonna work our way over there. I'm gonna actually show you step by step using the commands. So CDD, that lets me change the directory, and it's actually changed the disk itself. So I'm gonna go all the way to the T drive, and then it's the Black Oak file or directory, and then I'm gonna go into the changing just the subtitles one, and there we are. Now, there are two programs that you could use to do this. Both are absolutely free. The one is ImageMagick. This has been around forever. It's a super, super good program. Super, super good. ImageMagick, it does amazing things, and it's very easy to do a lot of batch things in it. So I recommend it. There's also GIMP. GIMP can be done in a command line format, and you could write some code to go with it, or on the outside a script. I could have done that. I didn't do that because it's a bit more complicated. This one is, look at how easy it is to write this. So you go Magic, Mogrify. What caused me the confusion was that I've used Mogrify for years and years, mostly on Linux systems, which was a subset of the old ImageMagick command set. But they've recently changed it and updated it, and I had to update ImageMagick because the updates to Windows no longer allowed the old DLLs to work. So just so you know, if for those of you who use ImageMagick, or if you're going to use it now, go and download the latest version of it, and the form of the commands has changed a little bit. Not only this used to be just Mogrify, but also the order of certain of the parameters. For example, it used to be, well, anyway, I guess I won't go into detail on that. I could wax on for a long time. Let me show you what this is doing, though. So the color we're trying to replace is, we're saying opaque, and that's that gray color. What we want to fill it with is this new yellow color. Notice that these are in quotes, by the way. Very important. These are in quotes. And then, just in case the computer's having a little bit of a hard time interpreting this, fuzz means that anything within 15%. Now, because they're subtitles and because there's nothing else, the black and the transparent, nothing else is with 15%, this is totally safe. If you had a picture where you wanted to swap out a color and you didn't want a whole bunch of things change, you have to be careful with the 15%. Now, if you leave off the path, command on here, what Mogrify does is it takes the existing pictures and it replaces them. And that might be okay, but just in case you make a mistake, what's better is to add a path. And this particular path in Windows form says that I'm going to the current directory. That's what the dot is, the current directory. And this backward slash new color is the new directory that I want things in. I'll show you that in a second. And then I'm saying I want to do it with a wildcard for all of my PNG files. Now let's go and take a look. You'll notice that I have created a new color. I've created a new color folder, and I've already done it, right? So I don't want to show you anything online if it's not going to work. So I'm actually going to delete all this so you can see how quick it is. So I'm deleting all that, all 699 subtitles. Gone, 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 gone. It even takes a minute to do it because there's so many of them. Even though individually they're all relatively small files. All right, it's empty. So now I'm going to copy this down. I'm going to, you can either right click or Control C. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut. Now when I go here and I'm in that same directory, I'm going to right click because it won't let you use Control. Control C means stop a program. That's what it actually means in this DOS or this command prompt. And I'm going to hit return. And what we can do is I can show you the new color. And look, yay verily, it's going through, it's doing them. You can see that it's working here on the side. And as soon as it's done, I'll show you what to do with that. It will just take a minute. So I'm not into normally I'm not into having you bored out of your mind by watching all this stuff occur. But I did want to finish that because it doesn't take very long. I mean, the point of it is if you got 600 and some titles and it's doing it in real time, and look at that, it's all done. Now, I'm going to bring up a point. I was a little worried based on me looking at the review of these that the background on those was not transparent. And this would be the command you'd use if I wanted, I'd have to go back and do it the same way. If I wanted to change the white background on them to transparent. It actually is, though, that all of, that's probably not a good English statement. The truth is that the background in all of these produced files are transparent, and I was able to verify that using GIMP, so I don't have to do that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here. Remember that XML subtitle thing? I'm going to grab it. I'm going to right-click. You could also use the keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to go into the new color, and I'm going to paste it in there. Why? Because I'm going to produce the sup file based on it. So I'm pasting in a copy of it. There it is. And now we can go to video edit. Look at, you're going to see me in real time doing this. So I'm going to go here to where I've got all of my command line things. I am going to go to BD sup to subjar. And then I am going to load. I'm going to go into new color here where this is. I'm going to load it up, open it up, it loads them all in. Let's see. So it says source. So actually the frame rate is not this. So well, it doesn't matter though, truth be told. So best not to, I was going to say I could change it, but I'm not going to change it. Because in the XML file, it was all recorded in the time where it's going to occur, which has nothing to do with frames per second. If there's other formats where the frames matter, the frame rate matters, but in the XML format, it doesn't matter. So I'm tempted not to do that. Everything looks good. I'm going to turn it back into the Blu-ray version. I'm going to export it, and I'm just going to export it in the new color. Make sure that it's in the right one. Yep, new color. And it doesn't matter as long as you know what the version of it is, and we'll save it. And look at that lightning fast. You can see the progress down here, down below. And done. Okay, so now what we have, we can get rid of that, and we don't need that anymore. And I'll just refresh this so you can see it. Maybe it's all the way at the bottom. Yep. Okay. So now we have our file, 14.5 megabytes, and that is all of the subtitles for that whole thing. So we can go back, and now we're into everything we did in the other videos. You'd go back with TSMuxer. You would mux the files that are here, shown above. So the Matroski file, the audio file, and then you would use the chapters as we've talked about before. And then the only change is that in place of the subtitle up above, you would add this new one that has the different colored things, and you would produce a Blu-ray file structure, and then you would substitute in the files, the M2TS and the other files, as we've done in other videos. So that's that. Pretty straightforward. This version, the only complexity to it was actually super straightforward. The only complexity to it was trying to figure out how to use the new version of Image Magic. But I highly recommend the second method, which is just demux all of the images, change the colors on them, remux them in. I mean, it's super straightforward. The timing doesn't change. Everything's good to go. Everything's clear, etc. So that would be my recommendation, and that's about it for this video. If you have further questions, let me know. If somebody watches this video and doesn't know what to do from this point, I will, if you ask me, I'll put a pointer into it to other videos that show you what to do once you have all the files. But I believe that anybody who's actually looking at this one probably has already looked at the other videos. By the by, that's my recommendation. Rather than have me try to kludge something together, I recommend you actually watch the other two videos on how you do Blu-ray editing, because there's a lot of tips and tricks and things in there that if you've never ever done it before, this would not be the first place to start with. Would be changing the color of the subtitles. Where I would start is understanding how the whole process works, and then looking at this as a little bit of a niche capability. So anyway, that's all I've got. Thank you all very much. Have a great day. If you'd like to, I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe. Have a good day. Bye-bye.